Hey everyone, this is Riddle Hugger Rave, and I'm here with my recommended review of Boruto, Naruto Next Generation's anime, episode number 223, which is titled Inojin versus Houki. So yeah, the final round of the Chunin exams has commenced, and we have these one-on-one battles in the arena. And of course, I'm really looking forward to seeing which of the kids will pass their test. And yeah, however, it looks like Mitsuki and Boruto won't be able to participate in the tournament, which, if you think about it, it really makes sense because it's kind of a disservice to Mitsuki and Boruto to face off against their opponents without necessarily really tapping into their true power. But anyway, the episode opens up with Mitsuki and Boruto. They're sitting on top of a rooftop, and yeah, Boruto is like, you know what? This time I'm going to become a Chunin, and Mitsuki is like, you know what? I'm going to follow you too. I'm going to become a Chunin too. And this is where we get to see Himawari calling out Boruto's name, and even Boruto's like, wait, what's Himawari doing here, and why is she so worried? So we get the opening credits, and then we cut to the Chunin arena. And yeah, after Momoshiki's attack, the arena has been repaired. It's a rush job, but it looks good. And Konohamaru is very excited about the exams. He's looking forward to it. And Shikamaru is also talks about how this time the Chunin exams are a bit different from the previous time. This means that they won't be allowing people to come into the arena and look at the battles. The battles will be live broadcast throughout the village. It's an exclusive, which means that the other villages won't be getting the transmission. And I'm like, you know what? You say that, but maybe the transmission can be hacked by other villages. Who knows? Or other groups who aren't necessarily affiliated with the five great nations or the villages, and they might end up hacking into the transmission. Things can happen. Technology exists in the Boruto franchise. So we also get to see Shikamaru complimenting Konohamaru because it turns out that Konohamaru ended up playing a huge role in getting all of this set up, the arena, the matches. He handled a whole lot of paperwork, and I'm like, okay, even though the fandom does make fun of Konohamaru and calls him Trash Maru, when it comes down to it, Konohamaru is supposed to be a very capable ninja in the Boruto franchise, even though we don't necessarily get to see it visually in the episodes. But yeah, Konohamaru is like, you know what? It was a pleasure to do all of that paperwork just so that we could go ahead with the Chunin exams, and he's also going to serve as the referee during the Chunin exams to step in if things get too dangerous. So we cut back to Boruto and Mitsuki. They're talking to Himawari, and Himawari. Oh, also, my bad. Also, my bad. Coming back to the previous scene, I remembered where Konohamaru. I think it's Konohamaru. Yeah, Konohamaru is like, here's to hoping that the student exams don't get disturbed again, or maybe it was Sai. I don't really remember. And Shikamaru is like, you know what? We don't have the budget to repair the arena again, so hopefully things will go smoothly. So we got to Himawari. She's talking to Boruto, and Boruto's like, okay, Himawari, what's up? So it turns out that Himawari has been hanging out with those two kids. If you guys remember when Himawari went to the Ninja Academy for a trial session, there were two kids. I don't necessarily remember their names, but there was a boy and a girl. Yeah, these two. And Himawari ended up being their friend. So it turns out that the friendship continued outside the trial session, and Himawari has been running around the village with these two, kind of pretending to be ninjas in training. And I'm like, Himawari, that's cute because the fandom has been wondering about whether or not Himawari is even interested in becoming a ninja or not. But I guess this scene proves that yes, Himawari is interested in becoming a ninja and becoming powerful and all of that stuff. So yeah, these kids have been running around, and this is where they end up noticing a shady group, which is the same group from what I can tell, it's the same group that we saw in the previous episode. And the kids are like, you know what, this group is up to something. So the boy in the group, he ends up following them. The girl follows the boy as well because she doesn't want him to get into trouble. And Imawari is like, you know what, I have a better plan. I'm going to go and reach out to my brother to help us out. And Bruta's like, okay, Himawari, I'll help you out. And Mitsuki is like, yeah, I'll follow you. So we cut to Naruto's house, and Naruto is getting ready to attend the Chunin exams, and Kawaki's there as well. And Naruto's like, Kawaki, you want to come with me to the Chunin exams? It's going to be exciting. And Kawaki's like, why would I do that? I'm not interested in exams. And Naruto, because yeah, Naruto is smart when it comes to it. Naruto's like, okay, you say that, but what if I tell you that you'll be able to witness a whole lot of unique ninjutsus and skills and ninjas in training? Does that excite you? And Kawaki is like, okay, I'll come with you. And I'm like, Kawaki could have just sat in the house and looked at the transmission on the TV, but okay. So yeah, these are the kids that will be participating in the final, excluding Mitsuki and Boruto. They aren't here yet. We have Houki, Iwabi, Denki, Inojin, Wasabi, Chocho, Salad, and Subaki. Subaki is so short. I just noticed that she is very short. Yeah, Konamaru is there. Konamaru basically gives them a quick rundown of the rules, that this is a one-on-one battle, and if things get too dangerous, then I'll step in, I'll stop the fight, and basically basically their skills and abilities will be determined, and the goal is to just pass the test. You have to be the winner by any means necessary. And when it comes to how the matchups will be selected, apparently there's this big container next to Konamaru with the names of the participants, and depending on the two people that Konamaru pulls out the names of, they'll be fighting. And of course, Salad is worried over here because she's like, where the heck are Boruto and Mitsuki? Why aren't they here yet? And this is where she raises her arm because she has a question, and she's like, Konamaru sensei, can you kind of delay the match, because can we wait a bit because Boruto and Mitsuki aren't here? And Konamaru is like, the rules are rules, Salad. But you know what? I'll be picking out the names, and if their names don't get selected, then it's okay. They won't be disqualified. However, if I do pull out their names and they aren't present for the final match, they will be disqualified. And Salad is like, okay, I guess that kind of works. And Jojo tries to calm her friend down. She wants her to not stress too much. So yeah, the first match is before that happens, we see this where we cut to Himawari and her two friends, and Bruto's like, "What the heck are you kids doing here? Why are you pretending to be ninjas?" And the boy's like, "No, we aren't pretending to be ninjas. This group seems shady to me." And Bruto's like, "You can't just tell whether or not a group is shady just by looking at them." And Mitsuki is like, "Wait, Boruto, maybe they're right. Look at that." And it turns out that the shady group ended up kidnapping Amado, which makes no sense to me, basically. I'm not really sure what's happening here. Maybe it's a distraction or some sort, a trick. Maybe one of the people in the group ended up transforming into Amado to fool Mitsuki and Bruto. Who knows? But yeah, Mitsuki and Bruto are like, "Yep, we need to go after that train." And they do, and Himawari and her friends are left behind. Maybe Himawari will reach out to Naruto and tell him what her brother is up to. But yeah, Mitsuki and Boruto are on the train, and the train apparently is it's going away from the village. And yeah, I'm like, yep, these two won't be able to make it to the matches in time, as far as I can tell. So the first match is between Inojin and Houki, and they have 15 minutes before the match. So Inojin is in the locker room with Chocho and Shikadai, and they're kind of trying to figure out how to handle Houki. And yeah, they know that Houki is being trained by Sai, and Chocho is like, "Can't you just reach out to your father for a few pointers?" And Inojin is like, "That doesn't necessarily make sense, because when you're out in the field, you don't necessarily know the abilities and the skill level of your opponent. So that's how I'm going to handle this match." And Shikadai is like, "You know what? That makes sense." And I'm like, does it really? Don't these ninjas have a bingo book that talk about the abilities and skills of other ninjas? So it's kind of always good to be prepared, because in contrast, Houki knows a whole lot about Inojin. He's like, you know what? Inojin has two jutsus that I need to be wary about. He has the mind transfer jutsu and the beast scroll jutsu. So I need to come up with a counter attack for those jutsus. And yeah, Houki's teammates are trying to keep his spirits high. They're here to support him. They're like, "Houki, you got this." And the first matchup, the Houki and Inojin matchup, is quite interesting, because it's apparently a matchup to determine whether or not the child of a teacher is better or the student of a teacher is better. It's basically a fight between a teacher's student and a teacher's child, which I found to be quite interesting. So yeah, it's time for the match. And Konamaru is way up here as the referee, and he's like, okay, start the battle. And Inojin doesn't miss a second. He goes in with basically a combo of his Super Beast Scroll attacks. He attacks Houki with one of his what are these? Doggies? Or lions, I guess. I guess it's a doggy, right? So he attacks Houki with that, and then he ends up attacking Houki with a whole lot of colorful birds, and then he ends up throwing this giant insect at Houki. And yeah, I'm like, Inogen, I get that you want to end this fight quickly, but you are wasting a lot of chakra, right? Because these three attacks consume chakra. But yeah, Houki is like, I'm not going to lose right now. So he ends up using an Earth style jutsu, and it's such an expensive jutsu that it ends up creating these pillar formations around the entire arena. So basically, Inogen is trapped in a maze made of rock pillars with Houki, which is quite impressive. So as Inojin is trying to figure out where Houki is, he's like, I'm stuck, where the heck is Houki? I'm like, Inojin, you're a sensory ninja. You should be able to sense Houki in a confined space, because we did get episodes in the past that focused on Inogen training his sensory abilities in order to sense chakra, even if a person is in the crowd. And the fact that Inogen never used his sensory ability to sense Houki running around in the maze, I'm like, why? Why did that happen? But yeah, Houki is running around frantically around the maze. He's just running to the left, to the right. He's running everywhere, while his eye is, because he has a photographic memory, he's basically taking in all of his surroundings. And even Naruto is like, what the heck is Houki doing? Is he lost in the maze that he created himself? And Sai is like, no, that's not it. Because Houki has photographic memory, he's running around the area in order to create a mental map of the surroundings. That's just how he operates. And I'm like, that's a very interesting thing, because it turns out that when Houki used that Earth style jutsu, the maze was at random. He couldn't control the type of maze that ended up being created. So that means that if he ends up training that jutsu and leveling it up, then he can basically maneuver all of the rocks in specific ways in order to create a map that he's already familiar with. And he might even be able to place traps in it. So that's a dangerous ability if you think about it when it comes to trapping people. So yeah, he notices Inojin and he ends up going at Inojin with his kunai, and Inojin is able to dodge a few of his kunais, and I'm still like, Inojin, why aren't you able to sense Houki's chakra? What's happening here? So we get a flashback where basically we get to see that Sai is telling the team that, yeah, you guys, because of the nature of the team and the nature the nature of the team and the type of team that you are and the type of missions that you'll be going out on as Ambu operatives, because of that, you won't be complimented by a whole. You won't be complimented a whole lot by your peers, because your peers won't necessarily know about all of the secret stuff that you do. So you need to take your pride out, and you need to take your ego out, and you just have to focus on yourself and your abilities and your skills, and you need to ignore what other people think of you. So that basically gives Sai's team an advantage, because their peers don't necessarily know what these three characters have as skills and unique abilities. So they have a surprise element, and that's exactly what Houki used against Inojin. So yeah, Inojin is running around. He ends up being slashed by one of Houki's kunais in the arm, and then Inojin basically trips. And yeah, you can tell that Inojin is losing his cool. He's getting frustrated, and I'm like, Inojin, again, why aren't you able to sense Houki's chakra? It's just a single person. So yeah, Inojin is like, you know what? You trapped me in a maze. I'm going to do something different. I need to get out of this maze. So he ends up creating his birds, and he gets on top of the bird, and he's able to fly away from the maze to get a bird's eye view of his surroundings. And he notices Houki, and he dives in to attack Houki, and Houki is like, not so fast. Houki uses another Earth style jutsu to create another Earth pillar, and yeah, he basically destroys Inojin's bird, and Inojin is falling. Shikadai and Chocho are worried, and and Houki is keeping an eye on Inojin because he wants to know where Inojin will fall. But yeah, Inojin is kind of smart too. Inojin ends up creating these little birds in order to distract Houki. And as Houki is dealing with these little birds splattering all over him, Inojin drops to the arena and he's able to hide himself from Houki. And Houki's like, "Yep, I got distracted. I let my guard down. This is going to be tough now, trying to find Inojin." So Inojin is trying to come up with a plan. Inojin is like, "Yep, I don't have a lot of chakra left because I ended up using a whole lot of my Super Beast Scroll jutsus in the beginning of the match that ended up consuming my chakra. I only have enough chakra left to do the mind transfer jutsu once, and I have to make that count because Houki needs to be standing right in front of me for that jutsu to work." So Inojin ends up using his brains, and yeah, he's able to lure Houki into a trap, which basically it kind of works out. I like the explanation about how it ended up working. But before that happens, Houki tries to rile Inojin up. He calls him names. He tries to make him come at him in an angry manner. But yeah, Inojin is able to keep himself silent, and Houki is like, okay, okay. Inojin is keeping level-headed during this match, which is kind of impressive. And yeah, we get to see Ino looking at the match on the television, and I'm like, it's the tune-in exams. The exams are being broadcasted. Shouldn't the entire village still get a free day off so that they can like sit in a cafe somewhere or their houses to enjoy the match? But okay. So yeah, coming to Inojin's plan, he ended up using his paint splatters to lure Houki into a false sense of security. Again, it's a trap because Inojin knows that Houki is going to try and track him down due to his paint splatters, and it kind of works because Houki notices his paint splatter, then he notices Inojin's shadow, and yeah, Houki comes at Inojin from his blind spot and with a kunai, and Inojin is like, "Yep, got ya." Because again, it was all part of Inojin's plan, and he uses the mind transfer jutsu, and it actually works. So we have the scene in the astral plane where Inojin has Houki under control, and Inojin is like, "Yep, the match is done. You did good. You fought well against me, but enough is enough. I'm just going to go into your body, take control of your mind, and I'm going to make you surrender." But before Inojin can do that, Houki's body ends up like releasing this weird ooze, and I was like, "Wait, what's happening? Did Inojin basically transfer his mind into a shadow clone?" But no, that's not it, because Houki's body ends up transforming into this weird golem. And but because Naruto and the rest can't see that, Naruto is actually quite impressed by Inojin. He's like, "Yep, I guess Inojin is going to win." And Shikamaru is happy as well, but Sai is like, just wait and see. So yeah, Hoki's body ends up turning into this weird oozy golem, and he ends up eating Inojin and forcing Inojin out of his mind. And I'm like, okay. So that happened, and yeah, Hoki is like, "Yep, Inojin, I'm the winner." And this is where Hoki is like, "Inojin, if you hadn't wasted time in taking over my mind and you took me over like immediately instead of talking to me, I would have lost. But you gave me time for that weird oozy jutsu to be activated, and yeah, I'm the winner." So yeah, I guess Hoki's the winner. He's going to become the tune-in, which I'm like, you know what? Good for you, Hoki, because he basically is impressed by Kakashi. He wants to be like Kakashi, and Kakashi was part of the Ambu as well. And Hoki's like, "Yep, I'm part of the Ambu, and I'm going to go ahead and become the Hokage." And I'm like, you know what, Hoki, Salad is going to become the Hokage too. Now, Hoki versus Salad, that would be interesting. So Chocho and Shikatai also appear in the arena. Chocho is just glad that Inojin is okay, even though he lost. She's just happy that her friend is doing well. Shikadai is kind of disappointed, but he's happy too because again, Shikadai wanted both of his team members to become Chunin so that he could start wearing that Chunin vest. And yeah, Sai comes in as well, and this is where we get an explanation about what just happened. So turns out that due to the type of training that Sai is giving his team, he ended up teaching them how to counter jutsus like the mind transfer jutsu and I guess other types of genjutsu as well. And that's actually what happened against Inojin. And Chocho's like, wait, doesn't that kind of level of counter requires a whole lot of skill? And Houki and his team is like, yep, that's exactly what's required. And they're like, Sai is so casual about sending us to very tough missions. So yeah, we might not look like it, but we're quite trained, we're quite capable, and as you can see, we have countermeasures to mind games as well. So and Inogen is like, you know what, Dad? Maybe you should spend more time training me. And I was like, yes, Inogen, drag him, drag him. But yeah, but yeah, Sai is like, ha 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 ha. So Houki is the winner. And Houki is like, you know what, Inogen? I appreciate that you basically gave me a very good fight. You pushed me to my limits, and I appreciate that. And Inogen's like, you know what? You won this time, but next time I'm going to win. And I'm like, okay, Inogen, if you say so. So it turns out that the next battle is going to be Iwabi versus Wasabi, which makes sense considering what happened, considering the interaction in the previous episode. And of course, Salad is still worried about why the heck Mitsuki and Boruto haven't arrived at the arena yet. So it turns out that the train that they were on, they basically break into the carriage where they think that Amado is being kept. And yeah, it's empty. No one's there. So they got played. They got played. And Boruto is understandably confused about what just happened. I'm confused as well. Why? What was the plan here? I highly doubt that the real Amado got kidnapped. I think that the shady group just wanted Mitsuki and Boruto away from the village for some reason. Who knows? Again, I'm not really sure what's happening, but yeah, I like the because I already like the fandom. Yeah, the fandom kind of knew that Mitsuki and Boruto won't necessarily be participating in the Chunin exams, and I think that the writers are doing a good enough job of explaining how they weren't able to make it in time. But yeah, I will be doing a written review of this for the Geekiary. The link to that will be down in the comment section below. As soon as the review goes up, let me know what you thought of Boruto Anime episode number 223. I enjoyed the Inojin and Houki match, but again, I'm like, Inojin, why weren't you able to sense Houki's chakra while he was running around in the maze? I have no idea. But let me know what you thought of the episode down in the comment section below. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.